Hi, boys and girls. This is Mrs. Echeverrio. I am doing a lesson today on soil for science, and I'm going to read you a book called The Scoop on Soils. The Scoop on Soils. Wow, that was fun, said Simon. I am glad our Globe Club is doing a project on soil. Anita agreed. I really liked learning about the different things in soil, like rocks, roots, and critters. This is going to be great. Dennis added, I also liked looking at soil profiles and learning how the layers of soil look as you go deeper into the ground. Hey, Dennis, Simon asked, where is Scoop? I thought you tied his leash to the railing so he could wait for us. This is a journal where they're keeping some information about the soil. It says soil profile. Today at Globe Club, we looked to make soil profile. No, we learned to make soil profiles. They show what the layers of soil look like if you were to make a slice through the ground. And they have the depth in centimeters there, how deep the soil, how deep they dug down. Uh-oh, cried Dennis. When Scoop got away last summer, he dug a big hole in Mrs. Webster's flower garden. It took a whole weekend for me to replant everything. Scoop really does like digging holes, doesn't he? Asked Simon. That's for sure, replied Dennis. And that is why we named him Scoop. We should find him before he gets into trouble. Hey, said Anita, he loves it when we take him to explore in the forest. Maybe we will find him there. The three friends ran across the soccer field and up a hill to the forest path. There's Scoop. Right away, they heard digging noises. I think I hear Scoop, Anita called out. They hurried around a curve in the path and saw Scoop. There he is, said Simon. Scoop had dug a big hole in the ground. His paws were covered with brown, white, and red soil. Scoop stopped digging when he saw the kids and wagged his tail. You can see their soil profile there. Now they're finding some sandy, gritty soil. Oh, Scoop, look at you, said Dennis. You need to stay with us. Hey, you guys, look inside the hole he dug, Anita called out. Simon knelt down on the ground and picked up a handful of soil. He could see different colors of soil in the hole. The soil felt gritty like the sand in a sandbox and fell through his fingers. He said, This is perfect for our globe project. Let's record what we see here. They pulled their journals out of their backpacks and started to write and draw what they saw in Scoop's profile. While they were making their observations, Scoop sneaked away. Uh-oh, looks like he's digging again. Anita looked up from her journal and noticed that Scoop was gone. Oh no, she cried. Scoop is on the loose again. I see his white and sandy paw prints going toward the meadow, said Simon. They quickly gathered their supplies and ran down to the bottom of the hill after Scoop. They could see him digging in the meadow. Oh, Scoop, Dennis called out. Another hole? What am I going to do with you? Scoop looked up from his digging and wagged his tail. Hey, said Anita, this hole looks different from the other one. There's the soil profile. Can take a look at that. Now the soil is silty and smooth. Let's record what we see in this hole too. Then we can compare this hole to the one in the forest, said Dennis. Anita replied, I can see critters moving in the hole. Let's draw what we see. She pulled out her magnifying lens so she could take a closer look. They noticed lots of critters, including earthworms and ants. Starting at the top of this soil profile, there was one deep dark brown layer and a beige layer underneath. The soil felt smooth and silty like flour. When Simon picked some soil with a plant in it, the soil stuck to the roots like cookie crumbs. Once again, while the kids were busy, Scoop slipped away. Simon looked up and found that Scoop was gone. Oh, brother, he said, we were so busy looking at the soil that Scoop got away again. Anita replied, Look, this time there are dark brown tracks going toward Mrs. Chang's garden. I hope he isn't causing trouble there. They ran across the meadow and saw Scoop digging in the garden. There he is, all three kids called out. Oh, Scoop, not again. I think we got here just in time, said Dennis. I see Mrs. Chang's tools, but luckily she has not begun to plant her garden. Scoop looked up and wagged his tail. Simon added, Great. I don't think Scoop did any damage this time. We can just fill the hole in before we leave. There's the soil profile again. This time there's some red clay, or red, the soil is like red clay in Mrs. Chang's garden. This hole looks different from the other holes Scoop dug, commented Simon. Dennis remarked, I have my soil color chart in my backpack. That will help us here. Anita said, it is really neat that the soil is different in each place Scoop dug a hole. This time, they saw a layer of very dark soil on top of a layer of red soil. The dark soil was full of organic matter. Because Mrs. Chang tilled the soil every year, the line between the dark brown soil and the red soil was very straight. They also saw critters in the dark brown soil. The clumps of soil felt sticky and damp. It stained their fingers red and felt like the clay they used at school to mold shapes. There's a really nice look at their soil journal or soil profile chart. You can see the color here, the texture, how the soil felt, the structure, what it actually looked like, and then treasures that they found in the soil. They explored forest, meadow, and garden soil. Now that we have data from 3 holes, let's compare our notes, Dennis suggested. I will make a chart in my journal to record what we saw, said Simon. Together, they filled in their chart with the information they had collected from the 3 holes. They wrote about the soil's color, texture, and structure. They called the different critters and plants they found treasures. This is cool, exclaimed Anita. From here we can see the 3 places that Scoop dug his holes. And look, the plants are different in the forest, meadow, and garden. Do you think the different kinds of soil allow different kinds of plants to grow? You may be right, Anita, said Simon. That is something we can look into. Wait a minute, Dennis said. Scoop is gone again, but I can see him heading up the hill. Let's catch him before he goes too far. Anita, Simon, and Dennis caught up with Scoop as he was running up the hill away from Mrs. Chang's garden. Dennis leaned down to pet Scoop and said, Oh, Scoop, I am not going to let you get away again. You have dug enough holes for one day. Anita agreed. You are right, Dennis, but Scoop's adventure helped us to collect lots of soil data. Simon looked at Scoop and started to laugh. It looks like Scoop collected lots of data, too. He has soil on him from everywhere we have been today. You're right, Simon, said Dennis. I can see the sandy white soil from the forest on his front paws, the smooth dark brown soil from the meadow on his nose, and the sticky dark brown and red soil from the garden on his chest. Anita added, different plants grow in all these places too. You can tell from what we see in Scoop's holes and from looking at each location. Simon gave Scoop a pat on his head and said, We are lucky that we had Scoop to help us collect all this data. As we walk back, let's make sure we fill in all the holes. When we started talking about soil at school, I did not realize how cool it is, exclaimed Simon. Scoop, thanks for taking us on this learning adventure because now we know the scoop on soils, Anita said. Dennis added, but from now on I am keeping you on a leash. Scoop barked and wagged his tail. He had fun on this soil adventure too. That's the end, boys and girls.